Professor Prendergrass, I'm so glad you could make it today to explain this poem to me. There's this book that's just come out, The Shaking City by Cath Drake. Have you heard of her?
Yes, I have.
And do you have any critical analysis on the back of that initially?
Well, I particularly like this poem. Mr. Jacob never seemed to have much backbone. I sort of identify with him. You know, he's somebody with a sort of obsession about various things, which is, I think, something that people say about me.
Well, you are an expert in, well, most things, I would say.
Unfortunately, this teacher turns out to be somebody who's not quite himself.
Mm-hmm.
He starts off as a maths teacher and ends up being something quite different. I won't spoil it for the readers.
Okay.
But yes, it's quite interesting, his journey, let's put it that way.
You told me earlier when we were discussing this that you had done some research and found out that Mr. Jake was in fact a relative.
That's highly possible, actually, yes.
Yes.
I have a great uncle Marmaduke who could have been his cousin, and there may be some genetic relationship there. Well, we don't know much about Mr. Jacob, but Uncle Marmaduke is quite a character, I can tell you. In fact, it turned out that he was a Humboldt squid.
Was he? Extraordinary.
No, Humboldt squid is terrifying. I mean, my uncle Marmaduke, my God, he was absolutely horrific.
Did he leave any diaries?
Uncle Marmaduke, no, but he left a sort of oral tradition, which is quite interesting because with a large beak, it takes quite a while to acquire language.
I was wondering about this word, gluggy, what your feeling of that is.
Well, it's obviously related to grog and the whole of the English expansion through the maritime expedition.
Is it? Right.
Yes, obviously.
Obviously. And what about the beach cricket game involved in this poem? Could you tell me the underlying meaning of that?
Well, it's yet another sort of reference to empire again, but I think in this case, with being school kids, it's more sort of jovial.
Right. Jovial.
Yes, as in Jove, as in Jupiter, obviously.
Okay, Jupiter, obviously, yes. And anyone else in your family sort of got this water?
Well, beyond that, there's my great grandfather Pizarro, who founded the city of Lima.
Oh, I see. And he's drawn to water, was he?
Well, he had to cross the Atlantic to sort of do it.
Oh, bother, did he? Right.
Yes. You know, he's from Toledo, so, you know.
To do it.
Yeah.
When you go to the seaside, Professor Prendergrass, do you get a sense that you might find something like this washed up in the bay, on the beach?
No, but I have found dentures and I have found yes, dental braces. In fact, one of my dental braces was lost on a farm in Paestum at one time.
Did it get washed up on a beach?
No, but it went missing for so long time, for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then on the last day when we were there, it turned up.
Astonishing.
Took it back to the orthodontist in Edinburgh, and it's up and framed on his wall.
Good grief.
Yes.
And what people reading this poem for the first time, how would you suggest they read it? How would they approach this poem?
I would say that it's got to be done through a sort of viewpoint of mauve.
Mauve?
Indeed.
Interesting. Do you suggest that they read this poem in any particular location? Any particular location would be good for this poem?
I think I would recommend Hot Air Balloon. I have a Zeppelin, but Hot Air Balloon might be better.
But why wouldn't a Zeppelin be better?
No, because the cabin is quite constricting, whereas in the balloon, in the basket, you see, you're up there in the clouds, and the clouds have all that moisture. The moisture leads to the theme of the poem.
Of course, yes. Now it's very obvious.
Do you see?
Oh, well, yes. Well, yes. Well, it's been lovely talking to you.
Pleasure.
And hopefully we'll hear some more of your poetry wisdom later.